Good morning and welcome into episode 43 of South Bay Sports Radio. I am joined once again by Damian Calhoun. How's Thursday morning treating you, sir?
Doing all right.
Today's episode, we will break down 4 double local matchups, check in on one team coming off a 2-week layoff, tonight's Thursday night special at SoFi Stadium. But first, a word from our sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by Dietz Brothers Music in Redondo Beach. Whether you're picking up your very first guitar, you need sheet music for your next performance, or you're ready to upgrade your gear, Dietz Brothers has been serving the South Bay music community since 1976. Stop by their shop on PCH and Torrance Boulevard, or check them out at DietzBrothersMusic.com. Dietz Brothers Music, family owned, South Bay proud. All right, Damian, we're going to get into our episode shortly. Robert Redford passed away Tuesday the 16th. He gave us classics such as Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, All the President's Men, Jeremiah Johnson, and The Natural. All right, I'm hitting you with it. What's your favorite baseball movie?
I'll go with Field of Dreams. The Natural has to be up there, of course. And then I thought it could have been a little bit longer, but 42, I think it was the latest Jackie Robinson movie, was pretty good too. I always thought it could be longer than what it was, but for what it was pretty good movie.
I agree. That's definitely one of those movies that snuck up in my list after I've watched it a couple of times. For me, The Natural's 1B, Field of Dreams is 1A.
Some people, yeah. I also like Moneyball for some reason. Every time it's on, I always sit and watch it. I mean, some people don't like how it's, the whole Hollywood portrayal of the team and everything, but I think it's a good movie.
In all honesty, you kind of have to give it a little bit more beef. You have to make the story a little bit more, I don't want to say Hollywood, but, at least give these characters a little bit more animation. And I understand that it's not exactly how David Justice came in and not how Eric Chavez was perceived or Jason Giambi. But it's also one of those things like we have so many ideas in our head as games go on that, they're painting a picture that it's kind of like a book. The book's written, but you can't put a book onto a movie and think that it's going to be perfect. So what do you prefer, baseball movies, or is there a football movie you prefer?
I think baseball. When it comes to football, it's more like the shows, like Friday Night Lights. It's the movie and the TV show were two of the best sports movies or TV shows I watch. So I like those two, but I lean more toward baseball movies than anything.
All right, there we go. All right, we are going to jump into a Thursday night showdown at SoFi. San Pedro takes on El Modena. 5 o'clock tonight. I will be on assignment. The last week against Bell, quarterback Seth Lorio threw for 326 yards and 5 touchdowns. Connected with an 86-yard strike to Jackson Brown, all in one half. 2 of those were records. Elias Redlew's already set records. This team is setting records left and right. But let's hear from Corey Walsh really quick. All right, San Pedro, physical football, win the turnover battle the night against Almadena, limit explosive plays, and play 4 quarters of Pirate football. Damian, you've seen their schedule. Do they finally get that statement win tonight?
Yeah, why not? I mean, yeah, it's going to be a tough, but I mean, they've had a tough non-league schedule starting with Torrance. Then they had the 1-point loss against, I think, Great Oak, I believe. Now they're going to close out with 2 pretty tough Orange County teams, El Medina this week and Laguna Beach next week. Yeah, but they're going to have to, like you said, take care of, avoid mistakes, take care of the ball, and if they keep that offense flowing the way it has been, I mean, they're probably they're going to be in for a good night. Then they're playing at SoFi. That's a big moment for the club, for the team, for the kids. They had the Coliseum last year, and now they're at SoFi this year. That's a big boost for the kids in the program for sure.
I'm really excited to see high school football at SoFi. I've been to a couple games there, 49ers, Rams, and last year we did a tour. And so getting to see the ins and outs of the stadium, going into the locker room, I'm really excited to see how the players react to this opportunity of playing on a field like SoFi. I know I was at the Torrance game and the grass was kind of thick. I kind of likened it to Notre Dame, not letting the grass grow and slowing players down. Playing on turf, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, SoFi is so big. Once you walk in there, it's like, oh, you're amazed at how big it is. So hopefully nobody gets too, doesn't pass out when they look up and they see all the room and the ceiling there. But yeah, it's a great venue. I've been there mostly for soccer the last couple of years. Yeah, it's just a great venue.
Agreed. All right, moving on. Battle of the Baby Blues. Carson against North. Carson brings size and athleticism. North Torrance brings discipline. Coach Croce says the Saxons' defense has improved, but they will be tested. He tells me the keys are minimizing big plays, stopping the run, containing Chris Fields, and turning broken plays into long gains. What do you got for tonight's matchup, Damian?
Gonna be a tough one, but well, I saw North last week. I like their defense. The defense did a very good job against West. Big guys up front. Anthony Macias, returning all area linemen. But Carson's tough as well. Chris Fields, good 2-way quarterback, run it, can throw it. They got some good receivers out there. So it's one of those good Southern section, city section battles here. City section always looking to knock off a Southern section team. I know we might talk about it later, but last year Bandy knocked off Palos Verdes. So let's see if Carson can also add their name to the list and take care of North. It's gonna be tough though. I like North. They're sort of under the radar a little bit. One of their coaches, I'm not going to say who it is, said always give Torrance too much credit, but I got my eye on North, man. Keep an eye on North.
Definitely keep an eye on North. They are one of those programs that Todd Croce continues to churn players out. They've got Mike Juarez as a coach on that staff, and Josh LaRue and Andrew Avalar, and those are just a couple of the coaches that I know by name, but those 3 right there, they've been with the program for a while. They came up with the program. Coach Avalar also coaches at El Camino. And so these guys, they get these kids playing and they get them playing the right way.
Yeah. And they're one of the many schools that lost players to Bishop, and they had to sort of like restructure on the fly there. Ethan Edwards, defensive back, moved to quarterback, and he's had a pretty solid season. He had a good game last week. So let's see, can he continue his progress this week and as they head to Pioneer League play in a couple weeks here.
Coach also said that O-line depth is a key. They've got Lewis Flint out, but he also said that keep an eye on Ethan Edwards as well as King Shelton. All right, before we move on, this one's for the listeners out there. This one's coming in from Rizzo's Pizza. South Bay Sports Radio fans only. Your next order, $10 off. Your code is SBSRFan10. Order online. You got to use the promo code to claim that at checkout. There you go. That is a big thank you to Rizzo's. Moving on, Friday night. Mira Costa finally gets a home game, San Juan Hills. Are we ready to hear from Don Morrow, or are you excited for this one first?
Always ready to hear from Don Morrow.
There we go. Here we go. Don Morrow. Coach Morrow has been very gracious in giving me information the last couple weeks. What have you seen? Have you seen Mira Costa yet, Damian?
No, that's why I'm going there Friday, just to get my first look at them. And 3-0, play some tough teams. They beat St. Francis early. Though St. Francis had some quarterback issues. They had a lot of guys transferred out. Some guys get hurt. But Mira Costa still made the trip and got the win. Then they beat Redondo in a rivalry game. And then to get the La Habra win, that's one you really open your eye at. Say, okay, they're going to La Habra, tough place to play. Tough travel, too, going to Manhattan Beach to La Habra to get that win. Now they're home for two. They're home for two against two tough Orange County teams. San Juan Hills Friday, and then Villa Park next week. So let's see. I'm eager to see the Meeker. I haven't seen the Meeker since last year, but they were the quarterback. I know I'm going to get them confused.
Liam's
Friday,
the quarterback. Luke is the wideout.
Yeah, I saw Liam last week. I think he was last year. He was sort of spotting time last year when I saw him. So looking forward to see him play, and then seeing Luke not only on offense but also on defense. I mean, 6 sacks. That's a good number already. And then Kingston Davies, another kid, another junior. He scored a touchdown and had an interception in every game so far this season. So let's see, finally coming home, let's see if they can continue their momentum this season.
All right, we're going to hit you some stats. Liam Meeker has been sharp, 576 yards and 6 touchdowns, 67% completion rate. Kingston Davies, 3 interceptions, 3 picks. Luke Meeker leads the team with 226 receiving yards and 22 tackles, 6 sacks on defense. Joaquin Wagner Boguez has 29 tackles and Jackson Reach has 27. I mean, it's kind of perfect, out of the frying pan and into the fire from Don Morrow. That's, you can definitely see where Guy Gardner gets that mentality, and we'll move on to PV a little bit later, but that's just, he's been with Mira Costa for so long, to pick his brain like that. I know it's tough after a loss, but even leading up to a game like this, picking a brain like somebody like Don Morrow, it's definitely helps.
Yeah, I mean, what I've noticed since I've been out at the Breeze is Mira Costa doesn't back down from anybody. They schedule tough non-league all the way through, and that gets them ready for the Bay League, which is, probably the toughest public school league around. So yeah, they're going to be. I know they're going to be ready for Bay League. That's for sure.
All right, we're going to move on to a clash of the unbeatens. Number 6 Torrance against number 12 El Segundo. This one's going to be fun. Let's hear from Raymond Carter. I'm going to cut it right there. Coach also went into giving a lot of praise to Coach Schoonkaer over at El Segundo, even if he's in his second year. Let's talk about Torrance for a second. Gibson Turner he's 50 yards short of 1,000. He's got 12 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Kason Presley has over 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. Von Reinhardt has over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Elias Emerson has 389 yards of offense and 4 touchdowns. And he's got 30 tackles. Are we ready for a little bit from El Segundo? Hear from Coach Schoonkaer?
Roll it.
Let's roll.
Undefeated El Segundo.
Undefeated El Segundo. I reached out to a lot of different coaches and they gave me a ton of information, and Coach Schoonkaer was very gracious in what he was able to give me. It highlighted a lot of different guys, especially his offensive line, defensive line. Coach Carter knows that this defense is going to fly around. We'll highlight some stats from El Segundo. Quarterback Ryan Wycheck, 792 passing yards, 11 touchdowns. He's also got 450 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. Spencer Osborne has 237 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 25 tackles. Isaiah Rodriguez has 32 tackles. Hunter Sprick has 5 sacks. And Chase Mattoon, who recently committed to Stanford for baseball, has 137 yards and 3 touchdowns in 2 games. They're hopeful to get him back. All right, Damian, Battle of the Undefeateds. What are we looking at in this matchup?
Well, like you said, I mean, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. I mean, how does El Segundo respond when Torrance going to try? I'm sure Torrance is going to try win the battle up front. That's going to be the first key. But even for El Segundo, I mean, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I mean, this is Rory's second year, and they returned about 20 or so all-league players from last year. So you can see he's trying to build something there. Even if they don't get through this week, sets them up for a pretty good run in the Ocean League, which they probably will be the favorites going in, them in West. But this is a big test here. 4-0. I mean, you battle against Torrance, one of the top 5 teams, top 6 teams in the area. Let's see let's see how they can handle that, and then let's see if quarterback Ryan Wycheck can continue his stellar play this season. He's off to a great start. I think 11 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, I believe. So let's see how all that plays out. Him and Gibson Turner, 2 good quarterbacks. So off to great starts this year.
Yeah, Wycheck has 1,300 yards of offense and 15 touchdowns. All right. Number 1 team, Sarah, they will face Oaks Christian at El Camino College. I reached out to Scott Altenberg, and he said, we haven't had a good second half all year. We're trying to get a better substitution pattern. To keep guys fresher for the fourth quarter, but they're young. They've had a couple tough calls go against them last week, and they didn't respond well. What can Sarah do to get back in the win column, Damian?
And well, if they don't get this one, it might be a long run. I mean, Oaks Christian's off to a slow start. They had a quarterback transfer out. Yeah, you see, I've seen Sarah twice this year. The offense has struggled at times early. And that sort of put the defense in tough spots. Like I said, but they are young. They're young pretty much up front, especially up front on the O-line. A lot of young players. They just got to, I don't know if you can keep it simple with a high school football game, but you got to do what you do best. And that's, for them, they usually have a size advantage up front with the big guys up front. So can they get the ball out to Devon Mutra? I know Duve Williams had a big catch the other night against Orange Lutheran. They got to get an early lead and then let the defense sort of play with a lead. Defense hasn't had a lead since, the PV game, they got out early, and then the defense was all over the place. In Hamilton, in the LA City game, they blew them away. But the last 2 games, they've struggled. They fell behind. The offense hasn't been able to catch up. And then, defense been on the field for a lot of plays, and, Los Al and Orange Lutheran has taken advantage of it. So let's see, can they get on track this week, sets them up for a bye week, and then they start Mission League against Sierra Canyon, which is a tough way to open.
Very
Sierra
tough way
Canyon,
to open.
yeah, that's a tough way. Sierra Canyon's one of the top teams around, of course. And to play them in the first game when you're still figuring things out, but that's down the road. That's a couple weeks away. This week is Oaks Christian, and I think Sarah will bounce back this week.
There we go. Number 2, Lusinger finally gets a game. They play at J. Sarah. Coach Miller says the Olympians are excited to face a Trinity League team once again. Couple key notes. He talked about Braylon Spencer taking pressure off of Samu Moala, Jalen Cox pressuring opposing quarterbacks, and on the offensive line, Miles Vincent and Paliasi Faust, he's a freshman at center holding the line. Defensively, they've yet to allow a touchdown. 2 games, 2-week break. What's going to be the key for Lusinger to get this one?
Man, after such a long break, it's almost like getting back into game rhythm, sort of. You can only mimic so much in practice. I'm sure they did some 11-on stuff with within the team and all that, but it's not the same when you're going against the Trinity League team. So let's see how long does it take them to get settled into the game against J. Sarah. I mean, tough Trinity League team. But last year Lusinger beat Santa Margarita from the same league, Trinity League. So they're not going to back down, of course. But let's see, the 2-week break, did that take them out of their rhythm at all? I mean, you play 2 games early and you're thinking, okay, we're going to play a third one here, a game they probably would have won, but now they've been sitting around for a while. So I think the challenge will be just getting back into game speed. Got to avoid the penalties making a long trip, avoid the turnovers, of course. And then you take a look at, see, where are you at the first quarter? Where are you at halftime? And maybe you make a run for it in the fourth quarter. But last year they in a tough game against Santa Margarita, they won 14-13. So Lusinger's going to be ready for the battle.
Definitely. All right, another double local. This one is under the lights at Palos Verdes High School. PV hosts Banning. Banning comes in at number 11. PV dropped to number 4 after that 1-point loss to Edison. I reached out to Coach Gardner, and I was asking about the constant message in practice, and he told me the Sea Kings are just trying to be better at the basics, fundamentals. He also shouldered the blame, saying he needs to be better at teaching those fundamentals. I think the biggest thing there is knowing how Guy Gardner approaches each day, each battle, each play, each practice. His message is pretty on point. He's just trying to do not necessarily the basics, but the same thing to get better at that. A few things I noticed about PV, even looking at their stats, they've yet to score a point in the fourth quarter this year, and they've had 3 special teams kicks blocked. Last week, they had that goal head field goal blocked, and then against IA, they had 2 PATs blocked. So I think the biggest thing with that is shoring up the special teams, trying to find a way to score in the fourth quarter. What do we know about Banning, Damian?
They're off to a great start under Nate Hollister, first year coach. They had their toughest non-league game last week against Garfield. They pulled it out 21-20. They had a late 2-point conversion that they stopped for the win. And for the kids who were there last year, I mean, they got to feel pretty good coming into this matchup. I mean, they pulled off the win last year against PV. I think that PV team was a little banged up at that time. But they got after Rakowski a lot that night. It was a tough night for them, and they pulled off the win. That was one of the nights when Steven Perez for Banning did everything. He quarterbacked. I mean, all over the place on defense. I think he had a couple rushing touchdowns. He had an interception. He was just all over the place. One of those fun high school Friday night moments where you see a kid just put his imprint on the game. So who on Banning can step up and do that this week if they're going to pull out the win? It's going to be tough. I mean, they're bringing in the lights. I mean, the fans are going to be there. The student body is going to be there. I don't think PV has lost under the lights recently, right?
No, they won all their playoff games under the lights last year.
Yeah, they had 3 or 4 games under the lights last year. So it's a big moment for them to have a normal Friday night. So let's see if Banning can go up there and upset them. But it's gonna be a tough battle for sure.
I did speak to Ryan Rakowski after last week's loss. That's episode 42, South Bay Sports Radio. He said that we need to eliminate the distractions. We're not worried about the night game. That's awesome. We get to play at home, but we're focused on Banning, and they're a great opponent. A couple of notes about Banning. Quarterback Noah Tuvalu has 530 yards and 5 touchdowns, throwing 1 interception. Nathan Greb has 305 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions on defense. Christopher Kovrubius has 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 15 tackles on the defensive end. And Cody Galloway, couldn't get anywhere without talking about him. He's got 150 yards on offense, 4 touchdowns, 33 tackles, and 3.5 sacks. Is this like the Galloway? Is the Galloway now the Tavai bloodline?
Man, I think this is the third one. There was Jacob, Keyshawn, and now Cody. Yeah, I've sort of watched him grow up sort of the last couple of years. If there's someone who can do what Stephen Perez did last year, it will be Cody Galloway, who's going to be all over the place.
Inglewood is at Downey. That's actually a little bit different than Dorsey. They're looking to find a little bit of rhythm after that 1-2 start. They did get that win, but what do you think is going to happen in this one, Damian?
It's going to be a tough test, that's for sure. They're going against Downey and Oscar Rios, quarterback who committed to Arizona. But Inglewood, they've had a weird season. They played a double week 0 game, so they started in mid-August. They've already had 2 bye weeks, I think. So they're still waiting for some guys to get clear transfer-wise. So they're just trying to weather the storm a little bit until then they go right into Bay League after next week. So can they slow down Rios? He's going to Arizona, so he's one of the top quarterbacks around. And Inglewood is pretty young on the defensive side of the ball, but they always got playmakers. You got Miles Smith up front, Sorrell Howard, Noah Clark, one of the defensive backs. So can they slow him down on defense and let the offense, which is still sort of working its way into a good group, a strong group a little bit? Can the offense find some points to pull out the win?
All right. Redondo is on the road again. They're at Orange. Last week, the Seahawks lost to Huntington Beach 19-17. Cole Leinart had 190 yards. Adrian Ortiz had 118 receiving yards. I did see a highlight where Cole Leinart looked to pull off a Donovan McNabb-esque play where he ran from one sideline to the other, kind of ate up a bunch of time and then completed that pass. What's going to be the key to Redondo playing in a way where they have a chance to win?
You're buff there. All right. Yeah, Redondo's they're actually at home this week against Orange. They were on the road the last 2 games. No, they were on the road last week against Huntington Beach. They're home this week against Orange. Yeah, they're just looking. They just got to figure something out. They've 2 close losses. The rivalry game they lost to Mira Costa, and then last week they took the lead late, and then Huntington Beach scored. I think Ellison told me within 20 seconds away or something, 20 seconds left, they scored the winning touchdown. So, by now, they just got to find a way to get a win. Once they get a win, that's going to help them exhale a little bit. Then they can try to get things turned around for next week. They got Banning next week. Then they go right into league. So, let's see if they can find a way, avoid the turnovers, avoid the mistakes. Orange always has good athletes. So, let's see how Redondo can handle everything coming back home after a tough loss.
All right, Mary Star at Lawndale, number 13, number 14 teams in your latest top 15 rankings. This is Tyler Sestich's return to Lawndale. He coached there after graduating from college under Travis Clark. Tanner Rollins, 750 yards, 8 touchdowns. Aiden Sierra is a leader in tackles and sacks. Johnny Rivera has 282 yards and 6 touchdowns. And receiver Dallas Christopher has 307 yards and 7 touchdowns. Are we ready to hear from Coach Norris Milton, who is in his 2nd year at Lawndale?
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, that was Coach Norris Milton. There's some big players on that Lawndale team that I want to highlight. You've got Kayvon Winokur, tailback. He's got 231 yards and 4 touchdowns. Freshman, goodness gracious. Freshman, Eddie Baker. Dynamic on defense. He's got 98 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns, third on the team in tackles and has a fumble recovery. King Barry, 160 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Ebenezer Augustine, 24 tackles, 1 sack. Tesca Ontiveros leads the team with 31 tackles. Kayshawn Williams, called the brains of the operation with 11 tackles at safety. And then Jordan Galvez, their quarterback. He's got 636 yards, 11 touchdowns, and he's at a 62% completion rate. What is going to be the key in this game with that 405 breeze coming in?
Well, man, first thing is can LoSal disrupt Mary Star's passing game? You heard Norris talking about the size on the Mary Star offensive line and their skill and their speed and skill at the wide receiver spot. So can Lawndale disrupt that, get the pressure in there, force some turnovers, and then on the offensive side of the ball, can they find their way to get through and get points? The quarterback with Julian Galvez, I believe, senior quarterback. But then King Barry's on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. You see his highlights online. He's always making a play somewhere. So can he come up with a couple of big plays there in this matchup here? It's an interesting matchup, 13 versus 14, a little test here for Mary Star. Test for Lawndale as well, but I like to see teams that sort of you sort of vision that you think they're a smaller school, whatever, but they're scheduling up and it's a tough team, Pioneer League, Bay League team like Lawndale. Good matchup here. And interested to see the score after this one.
There we go. All right. West Torrance, number 15, is at Cypress. The offense relies on running back Jack McInnes. He's at 277 yards and a touchdown. Damian, what did you see from West last week? And I got to know what you thought about Tom's Tacos.
No, I guess we can start with the tacos first. That's probably the better performance. Sorry about that, Wes. Yeah, I went over to Tom's Tacos, which is on Anza, right?
Anza and Torrance Boulevard, right by the Vons.
Anza and Torrance Boulevard, yeah. First time there, I had the big burrito. I got it. Went to the parking lot at West and devoured it in about 20 minutes or so, I think. The only problem was there's no sit down. There's no place to sit in that. So that sort of threw me for a little bit. But other than that, thumbs up to Tom's Tacos. For West, the offense, defense, they're still working, figuring some things out. I mean, they're playing a tough non-league schedule, of course. They played Torrance, and they played North. They did beat Peninsula. This is going to be a tough game here because Cypress played Torrance last week, and Torrance beat them like 35-19 or whatever. But if there's one guy to watch on offense, it is Jack McInnes. I mean, he pounds the ball all game long. I think he finished with like 70 or so yards this time around. So for West, I mean, can they get through here? And then next week they got South next week, another tour they play in all the Torrance schools. Can they get that win and then set them up for, going into Ocean League where it's expected to be them and El Segundo for the league title, just like last year. Let's see what kind of steps they can make from now until then to see if they can get back to the top of the league again.
There we go. I want to talk to you about 2 more games. St. Bernard is 3-1. They play St. Monica. Westchester's 2-2. They play King Drew. These are 2 of the games that you had on the outside looking in, 2 programs on the outside looking in of your top 15. What do these 2 teams have to do in order to crack that top 15?
Well, man, just looking to see who above them loses. Like I say, I could have did a top 20, but I don't think I have 20 teams. I think I might have,
18, 19?
18, 19 teams? Yeah, so it's right there at the cutoff line there. If anyone has a chance to go up, it is Westchester. I mean, they're playing a tough Western League. They play King Drew, which is all tough program in the city. So let's see what Westchester does this week, and then with West, if they lose or not, maybe make a move then. St. Bernard lost to Canwell Sacred Heart last week, so that's sort of if I had to rank 16 and 17, they would be 17 with Westchester at 16. So let's see what happens this week, and it's tough to make make who moves what, who moves where. Sarah's been one. I mean, they lost 2 in a row, but they played 2 tough teams. I mean, then you think, could anybody behind them beat those 2 teams? Then you're thinking, yeah, maybe, maybe not. So I left them there. I moved to Mira Costa, I mean, after a big win. And then Redondo's down there. They're still winless, but, I mean, they're a pretty good winless team. So, but at some point, you got to start winning.
Right.
So that's sort of all my thinking goes on usually Monday afternoon when I start working on all that stuff. And then the city, you got Carson, Pedro, and Banning right behind each other. They're going to play each other. So unless they all, unlike last year when they all sort of like split with each other, that should even some things out there, make it easier to move those guys up and down in a couple weeks here.
There we go. We're going to move on to girls flag football. We will have a top 10 for you next week on the Daily Breeze, in the Daily Breeze newspaper. CIF released its playoff rankings similar to volleyball. Redondo Union came in at number 15. Palos Verdes was number 45. Torrance 48. Mira Costa 52. And North 63. Damian, before we start talking about this, let's hear from Jake Jimenez. All right, that was Redondo Union Flag Football coach Jake Jimenez. They had a tough loss against Orange Lutheran, 46-0, and then they respond with a big win over Palos Verdes, 20-7, and then they beat St. Joseph's out of Lakewood, 7-6. They scored wins over Torrance and Peninsula. They didn't allow a touchdown, so in 4 games, they've allowed 2 touchdowns. What's your biggest impression after hearing from Coach Jimenez?
Just how they were able to bounce back. I mean, losing Orange Lutheran, I guess they're one of the top teams around, and then bouncing back with wins over PV and then St. Joseph. So that's a good way, good test of the team's toughness, perseverance there to bounce back. But he said the game against, was that Banning next Friday?
That Banning game is the 26th, yeah, at Banning. So they play Costa on Thursday at Costa. Then they play Banning at Banning on Friday.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's a good one. We might have to interrupt our football coverage that night for a flag football game.
You might have to see me at Banning High School for a flag football game.
I think that's a double hitter too, because isn't the tackle football, Redondo plays Banning at Banning. So I wonder if the flag football is there before.
That'd be interesting. We're going to have to look into that and see.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Is there anything else that you feel is pertinent information for our listeners this week?
Friday, the Durango Classic starts, girls volleyball, toughest tournament around. We got 64-team tournament. Mira Costa, Redondo, and South Torrance are there. Play starts Friday afternoon, pool play. And then Saturday, it's like qualifying rounds and playoffs. Yeah, it's just, I've never been, but it's you can imagine 64 volleyball teams just hitting the ball all day, all long. So that's going to be a good test for Redondo and Costa and South there. Let's see how they finish up. We'll have something written up either Saturday night or Monday morning on that.
South just beat Chadwick in the Bellflower Guard tournament as well. So that's another tournament for South to compete in to see who they fare against. All right, that will wrap episode 43 of South Bay Sports Radio. Damian, thank you again for joining me.
Always. No problem.
Catch us on YouTube, Spotify, and anywhere you listen to your podcasts. New Instagram channel, South Bay Sports Radio. Thank you very much.